Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World of Wrestling. If you're not subscribed to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe now, forever hold your peace. This is a good channel, and I got a lot to offer to you guys. As promised, I'm providing you guys today AEW Dynamite June 10th, 2020 review. This show was pretty decent. Nothing, jumped out off the page to me or anything, but it was a decent show nonetheless. It was definitely better than Monday Night Raw, put it that way. I mean, pretty much anything's better than Raw. Fuck, even Impact Wrestling is better than Raw. And that's pretty sad. So, kickstarting everything. I just knocked down one of my speakers in here, which is not good. Anyway, first thing that came about is Chris Jericho joined commentary with his baseball bat, by the way. And he actually is the fourth person at commentary. And boy, oh boy, was he annoying tonight. I mean, he was constantly yelling and screaming and all kinds of other shit, which made no sense to me at all. So, first match on the card was FTR with Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, which I do not know their names. They go by Dax and Cash, from what I see here. And this match was pretty good. I liked the Butcher and the Blade match with FTR, and I thought they did a good job. Very, very entertaining stuff, the way to kick off the show. After the match was over, we had the Young Bucks come out, and Dax goes to talk, and then the Young Bucks make their way out. Nick says, that match was great. Matt just wanted to thank them for getting them out of a jam a couple of weeks ago. Matt also said the two failed to properly introduce themselves. My name's Matt. This is my brother Nick, and we've been carrying the tag team wrestling for the past decade. We're the best tag team in AEW. I don't know if you can really say that if you haven't won the gosh darn tag team titles yet. Which kind of defeats what they're trying to go for here, at least in my opinion. So they put their hands out. Butcher attacks from behind. Now Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc get into the ring. Hangman Page, Kenny Omega come out. So the bad guys bail from the ring, and there's a bit of a jawing in the ring between the champs, FTR, and the Young Bucks. This would be interesting. A triple threat tag team match for the tag team titles at All Out. I would love to see that. And see FTR win the tag team titles. Or even the Young Bucks. But they've already had their opportunity and they could have passed it on to them, but they didn't. So, that's just my opinion on that. Alright, so we had Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford in a tag team match, which this was the second tag team match in a row. There was a lot of tag team action, except for the last two matches were singles matches. But the rest of the card was just tag team after tag team matches back to back. So, it's kind of a tag team wrestling kind of night. Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford first faced Chris Statlander and Akira Shida. Matchup was okay. Penelope Ford picked up the victory with a belt to the Shida's head and then a fisherman's suplex for the 1, 2, 3. And that's how that match ended. After that, we had Darby Allin do some stunts with Tony Hawk there, trying to connect from a ladder onto a ramp with a skateboard. And I thought a couple of times he was going to kill himself or severely injure himself again, which he did not. We then had Britt Baker have another clip. She talks about being a role model for fans, but she needs respect from them. She mentions Big Swole and doesn't know what her deal is. Baker says she's gone through struggles of her own and mentions having an unexpected microbiology test that she didn't study for and aced it. And then more clips are shown of her working out in her wheelchair. That was a big, giant waste of time. Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz versus Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. This matchup was solid. Orange Cassidy picked up the victory and then got hit over the head by Jericho in the inner circle with a bag of oranges. And then after they beat the shit out of him, and he was bleeding all over the place, they said, it looks like Orange Cassidy was squeezed out. And they got all the juices out of him. I don't know. Then they started eating oranges, and Jericho spit oranges into the camera, and then he was off a commentary for the rest of the night. So what else? So then we get a segment with MJF at ringside being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. He's talking about how he was upset with Jungle Boy winning the match and then getting a title shot before him, in which case he ends up losing the Battle Royal, which is why he didn't get a title shot for the TNT Championship, which I believe is starting to lead to the possibility of MJF facing Cody, beating him for the title, and then eventually becoming a double champion in AEW and winning the AEW World Championship, which then down the line I think would lead to Cody to eventually get the opportunity to face MJF, and if he loses, his career is over. And that's how I would do it. But that's just me. Let's see here. He does actually have confrontation with Billy Gunn, and he starts jabbing his mouth off to Billy Gunn's son. And once he does that, Billy grabs MJF, but he hollers for Wardlow, and who gets in the middle of everything, and he and Billy jaw at each other for a moment as MJF backs away. We then get Sammy Guevara and Colt Cabana, and Sammy Guevara finally gets a win over Colt Cabana. This matchup was pretty decent. I actually enjoyed this match. Wasn't bad at all. Sammy Guevara does win this, and then the Dark Order come out, and they introduce themselves again to Colt Cabana. It looks like we may see Colt Cabana turn dark. That would be interesting, seeing him become a dark character and out of this gimmicky, weirded out gimmick deal that he's been doing. Then Sammy Guevara starts jabbing at the mouth, talking about how he should have his music playing and so forth. And from there, he starts talking about how great he is and how he's the best wrestler in AEW. And then Matt Hardy comes out as regular Matt Hardy. The Matt Hardy doesn't die character, I would assume. He starts talking to good old Sammy Guevara about the how talented he is. He thinks he's a great wrestler and that he needs to figure out a way to get away from Chris Jericho to grow as a wrestler. Guevara insults him and some more, and then out comes broken Matt Hardy. He really starts talking some trash, calls him some names, and then you start seeing Matt Hardy kind of like transform or start building this split personality to Damascus, broken Matt Hardy gimmick, and he starts talking in that weirded out old school language, like you would hear from like Will Shakespeare or something. So he gets much more aggressive and says he's going to delete Guevara as Sammy bounces out of the ring. Then we get a story on Joey Janella coming out of a bar. He wondered what happened after he got his big match with Jon Moxley and has since faded into darkness. He says he sometimes thinks his best moments in wrestling are behind him. Janella walks along the streets and Sonny Kiss pulls up in his car. Kiss tells him to get in, and Janella does so. The two go cruising as we get a to be continued graphic across the screen. Moxley shows up, and Alex Marvez does the interview, which honestly I'm getting sick of Alex Marvez. He is by far the worst interviewer of all time. I have never seen anyone so bad as him. He is so uncharismatic. He is bland, boring, and fucking retarded. I mean, if you got a brain and you know how to do stuff, like being creative and stuff, and you just don't have the ability to perform in front of a camera, my God, at least do something behind the scenes to make yourself productive. This guy's fucking ridiculous. His whole demeanor is just bland. Makes me want to go to fucking sleep. Thank God he ain't an announcer. He was at I think the very first event for Double or Nothing, and then I think he did Fyter Fest, and then he was off for the rest of the time being and hasn't done another commentary for an event since, which thank God that happened. So, Alex Marvez interviews Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley seems very pissed off. It looked like he got beaten up because I remembered he was on AEW Dark, and I didn't really watch that, so apparently I'm assuming that he got attacked by Brian Cage during that match, and he was pretty banged up. He says that Moxley says it pisses him that Cage or Taz thinks that Cage could beat him. Makes him more violent and less apologetic. Taz walks up and says all he hears is Moxley chirping and he needs to get his head right for the match. Cage comes from behind and drops Moxley for a moment and then attacks him and beats him up and slams him on top of a car. He puts him through some glass. The glass actually breaks and he's laying there pretty banged up and worn out. Brian Cage looks good. Though I will admit this, I think this is being done a little too soon. I think that this guy shouldn't be challenging for the AEW World Championship. He's a guaranteed winner for the AEW World title. But for him to come into this right now and take this title off of Moxley would be stupid. Very foolish. I don't think that's the best decision. I think Jon Moxley has a lot more to give towards the World Championship that he's got. And I honestly think that either All Out or Full Gear in November would be the best place for him to lose the title. I think at Full Gear against Kenny Omega still. I am still saying Kenny Omega beating Jon Moxley at the Full Gear pay-per-view in November. I think that would be great. It's a full year from the last confrontation they had. They have not had one match since then or competed against one another since, and it would be great if they had they cross paths once again for this matchup and make it a year rematch, and this time for a world title being the main event. Just my take on it. You tell me what you guys think. And then the last match was the AEW TNT Championship match with Cody versus Marc Quinn. Decent matchup. Liked how Marc Quinn looked. He really was trying hard to win this matchup. It wasn't over the top as ridiculous as last week, which some podcasters did mention it was a little over the top what they did. They were trying to throw every bell and whistle at you that you could possibly see, with Cody bleeding all over the place and banging himself up. This match was a little bit more toned down than last week's match, which was a good idea to do, especially with a guy like Marc Quinn. I mean, he's not exactly what you call a singles competitor. He's a tag team wrestler in Private Party. I do believe they mentioned something about the TNT Championship being defended next week against a impromptu challenger. And then also at Fyter Fest, he's supposed to face Jake Hager, which will be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to that. But for him to defend the title next week, if that's true, I don't know if that is true or not. I think I saw a graphic that stated that. If that's the case, I'm going to be pissed off about that. I'm sick of this. You don't have to have Cody on the fucking show every fucking week defending the dang title. He doesn't need to defend the TNT Championship every week. It's not needed. I think that is a little over-the-top ridiculous. So, that's just my take on that. This matchup was a solid match. I enjoyed the main event. It was definitely noteworthy for a main event. He did a great job, Marc Quinn, and Cody, of course, picks up the victory and wins. And we get the Inner Circle attacking Cody. Then the rest of the Elite come out and help Cody in this situation. And that's pretty much all there is to the show. There is a mention that the tag team titles will be defended again. I don't understand these championships being defended when they're already set for a 2-night pay-per-view. I'm saying quote-unquote 2-night pay-per-view event because of the fact that this is Fyter Fest on TV for free, but it's being called Fyter Fest instead of Dynamite. So, for them to have championship matches leading into this when they should just be building these matches up. I mean, Best Friends are getting a title opportunity against fucking Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, so why the hell do you need to go ahead and defend the titles leading up to the event? It's not needed. It's over the top ridiculous. It's just trying to fill in spots where they don't have anything creative. That's starting to worry me a little bit with all these title matches and all this. I mean, one title match per night would be fine, but it's because they have nothing going on for that title in the upcoming weeks, but all these titles have a match for Fyter Fest. Why do you need to have title defenses leading into the pay-per-views? Or, well, they're supposed to be pay-per-view type style shows for the next 2 nights on July 1st and 8th, but why would you go ahead and make this where it's, you know, fucking ridiculous where they're defending the title week after week leading into a pay-per-view when they should be building up to it? I don't get it. So that's just my opinion on that, guys. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video. And, of course, as always, subscribe to the World of Wrestling, because I got a whole lot more videos coming up this week. We got NXT tomorrow. I'm going to be reviewing that. I'm also going to be reviewing SmackDown, or at least try to if I have the time to do so, because, quite frankly, who really cares about fucking SmackDown and what Bruce has to say? You know, good old Bruce Pritchard, the man who knows how to produce a boring-ass show and put people to sleep. Yeah. I may or may not review that show. It depends on how busy I get this weekend. And then we got the good old Backlash, you know, the greatest match ever. Sure, right. And I could produce the greatest match ever if you want to go ahead and stretch it that far, okay? Because this is a travesty and a half with this Backlash event, especially with the subtitle being the greatest match ever. It's a real load of shit. Can't wait to watch it and, you know, shit all over it. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Again, like I've said, leave comments down below, hit the like button if you liked the video, and subscribe to the channel, and I thank you very much for watching.